Hi all, welcome to my channel Couch Potato Reviews. My name is Sudarshan and today we'll be looking at my take on Bollywood remakes, especially Vikram Vedha. But before talking about Vikram Vedha, I'll talk about Bollywood remakes in general and slowly build it up to the big reveal. According to me, there are majorly two types of remakes. One is a frame to frame remake, also known as a faithful remake, and the other one is an adapted remake. Now, let's take a few examples of frame to frame remake. I'm going to sort of reference a very old film called Rowdy Rathore. Rowdy Rathore is a remake of a Telugu blockbuster called Vikramarkudu, directed by S.S. Rajamouli. Interestingly, both Rowdy Rathore and Vikramarkudu released pre Bahubali. So no one actually followed S.S. Rajamouli or his films back then, and the borders weren't blended. So it made sense to remake this movie. Rowdy Rathore was a huge success, and one of the main reasons why it was successful is because of the terrific casting. Both Akshay Kumar and Ravi Teja are congruent actors. Both those actors can play comedy and serious roles alike. You can see Akshay Kumar, sort of goofing around in Houseful, but you can also see him play an undercover agent in Baby, for that matter of fact. Now, let's take a more contemporary example of a frame to frame remake, that is Jersey. What went wrong with Jersey? If you ask me personally, everything was perfect on paper, right? Shahid Kapoor is equally as versatile as Nani, so congruent casting, tick. It's the same director, so tick. So they could preserve the essence of the movie essentially. So then what changed? So I saw R. Madhavan's interview very recently, and he said that what changed is the audience. The audience had changed because during the pandemic, the sense and sensibilities of the audience had actually widened thanks to OTT, etc., etc. So I know a lot of my friends who are usually only watch Hindi movies. They ventured into the south. Polyglots like me that watch anything and everything ventured into K drama. By the way, I am on my 26th Korean show. Or I think 27th. I'm not sure, but I have watched a lot of K drama. And 2 years before, if you asked me whether I would watch Korean drama, I wouldn't even believe myself. So that happened. This whole change happened. And one more major factor that contributed to this change is the gold mines effect, as I would like to call it. And when I mean gold mines, I'm not talking about KGF. I'm talking about gold mines telefilms. Gold mine telefilms dubs all South movies in Hindi, and they have their own YouTube channel. In fact, they have their own channel on Airtel also, if I'm not wrong. So everyone watches Goldmine telefilms. I mean, everyone watched Goldmine telefilms during the pandemic. Because I was very shocked because recently I met some of my friends. We were talking about RRR and we were talking about Ram Charan and Junior NTR. I was like, you know what, you should watch these movies of Ram Charan. You should watch these movies of Junior NTR. But they were all like, yeah, I've seen it, man. I've seen this, I've seen that, and that's all thanks to Goldmine telefilms. So Goldmine telefilms, in a way, is like a threat to frame remakes, if you ask me. So coming back to Jersey, if you think about it, Jersey could have the time that Jersey they chose to remake Jersey versus the time that they released actually was two different times because the audience had changed by then. And one more thing about Jersey is that I think it could have benefited from a little bit of adapted screenplay. Like they could have changed some more things here and there. Like it's whenever we are making a remake, it's very important to preserve the core content, but it is also equally important to sort of make it palatable for the localized audience. So that brings us to adapted remake. So there's only one name that I can think of when it comes to adapted remakes, that is Rohit Shetty. I am not a big fan of Rohit Shetty per se. I don't it's his movies are not something that I particularly enjoy, but I do admire the man's capability and ability to do this customized remake very well. So I enjoyed the Hindi Singam way better than its Tamil counterpart. I also enjoyed Simba way better than the Telugu original, which was Temper. So he understands how to customize it and make it more palatable for the Bollywood audience. His comedies or his sense of adding these commercial elements, or like remaking old Bollywood songs, etc., are all these you know. Ploys that he sort of employs to enhance the movie, and it makes it a different viewing experience altogether. So now let's come to Vikram Vedha. So where does this stand in terms of the two remakes that we spoke about? So Vikram Vedha does fit into the frame to frame remake if you actually think about it. That's because the director is the same. Pushkar Gayatri is the director duo that directed the original Vikram Vedha. They are directing the Hindi venture, and it's more or less, as I said, going to be a frame to frame remake. And I was very skeptic at first. I was like, I don't think anyone can top Vijay Sethupathe's performance, and I had my own sort of I had some skepticism, to be honest. But after I watched the trailer, I was pleasantly surprised because I had this very unexplained FOMO effect. I really loved the trailer, and I was like, you know what, I want to watch it. So, in order to explain FOMO effect much better, I want to talk about an experience that I had in college. So, in college, some of my friends and I we became like this theater aficionados, and we watched all sorts of plays such as Phantom of the Opera, Tempest, many sorts of Shakespearean plays. And one such play that we ventured into was Frankenstein, directed by Danny Boyle. So Danny Boyle is known for directing great films such as Slumdog Millionaire, Trainspotting, etc. So I was very excited. I was like, and so Danny Boyle did excite me. But the other thing that excited me was the casting. So Frankenstein is played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and the creature was played by Johnny Lee Miller. The irony of it all is that Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller both have played Sherlock Holmes in Sherlock and Elementary, respectively. So it was like Sherlock versus Sherlock. And I was like, I'm not going to miss that. I'm definitely going to watch it. And when we watched it, we really liked it. And Frankenstein is a very old story, mind you. So there have been so many adaptations and versions of it. But they still managed to find something exciting, right, to hook on the audience by making Benedict Cumberbatch play and Johnny Lee Miller play these roles. So you want to see what is their rendition or what is their way of adding life into these characters. After I finished the play, I came out, and to my surprise, I found out that there is another version of the same play where Johnny Lee Miller plays Frankenstein and Benedict Cumberbatch plays the creature. I was like, you know what? I definitely want to watch it. I want to watch this version as well because I really, really was excited and I wanted to see how both these characters have played both these roles. So, this is the FOMO effect I'm talking about, and this can definitely work in Vikram Veda's favor or even the other upcoming Bollywood remakes such as Bhola or the untitled Surare Potri remake as well. So I think the FOMO effect is something that the Bollywood market can tap into. And if you actually, the other factors also they have to keep in mind before tapping into, because I believe that if you look at the audience, right, imagine the audience is like a big pie. You have a chunk of people like me who watch who can speak multiple languages and watch the film in the original format, and then there's another section of audience that doesn't mind watching the film in the original format provided they have subtitles, and then for a section of audience that don't mind a dubbed version per se, for the gold mine telefilms audience if you may. So these are the various types of audience chunks which are already taken, and the chunk that is left with people who don't watch or who are waiting for the remake is actually very small, and each of these individual chunks, if you ask me personally, has widened during the pandemic. So I think whilst tapping into the FOMO effect can work, one more thing that can work in the favor of Bollywood remakes is that the customization. They can customize certain types of aspects in order to make it more palatable. Now, this is my honest take on Bollywood remakes, guys. Hope you really enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more such videos.